Hello guys, my name is TheRussianBadger and welcome to Heist. Heist is one of the two new game modes for Battlefield Hardline, the other one obviously being Blood Money, which I will talk about later, but Blood Money is not all that complicated to begin with. It's basically grab cash from the center of the map and bring it home, or steal it from your enemy's vault and bring it home. It's really not all that difficult to grasp. Heist right here is a little bit different, but it's not very complicated to begin with. And I'm going to go over essentially the way it works and what I think about it. So, as a criminal like I am right now, all I have to do is set charges on the back of these two armored trucks, wait till they explode, grab the cash inside, and get to an extraction point. But before I get into any more detail, I need you to lend me your hands and just count with me. Just count with me. You ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So basically 6.5 to 7 seconds before I even saw an enemy. And I think this is the first area of improvement for this game mode of Heist. This is what they need to decide. They need to decide if they want to adhere to thematic elements or balance elements. And what I mean by that is, I understand what they're trying to do. I understand that they want to make it sort of like it is in real life, like almost like the movie Heat, if that makes any sort of sense, that they want the criminals to always be one step ahead of the police. Inherently, criminals, obviously, they're trying to execute the heist or pull off the perfect score, so they're always the initiators, not necessarily the responders like the police are. So they inherently have, the upper hand with the initiation because they are the criminals. But at the same time, and here I'm going to grab the loot and then move to the extraction point. I was going to take a sedan over here, but it eventually exploded. But here's the real issue. You guys saw initially, you guys see that, like, I spawned about 50 to 60 feet away from the armored truck, and I could arm the objective and still have a 7-second buffer before I even saw an enemy. So I get the whole concept and the whole theme of like, yeah, the criminals are always ahead because they're the initiators, they're the ones that are executing this sort of heist. But at the same time, I have way too much time on my hands and the criminals spawn way too close to these sort of armored trucks that they have the loot inside. The cops are like another, I want to say like quarter mile down that road. They're really, really, really far away. So obviously you could tell it didn't take very much effort for this to happen. Now, I got kind of squeezed by this helicopter, but this is one element that I want to say is very, very good. If you did not see exactly what popped up on your screen right there, I now have 1,500 points just for that little bit of objective play. And that's really what I adopted early on. Like basically the attitude that I adopted early on in this game. I noticed that obviously everybody at the game event doesn't really have an individualistic name. It's not like, oh, I'm the Russian Badger, or I'm Meow Meow, or I'm like Pwn Doctor 1234. It's all RWS1 game event and then some number. And I happen to have read my number, and it's pretty significant, because it's like, I saw my number as RWS1 Game Event 350, also known as about a tree fiddy, and that, come on, helicopter pilot, flown by Carl exclusively, it's not a good situation there. But I said to myself, you know what, if I'm going to be RWS1 Game Event Tree Fiddy, I'm not going to end up very low on the scoreboard. I better win this game. So I said to myself, the easiest way to do that is probably purely objective play, and that's something that I wanted to experiment with, is what if I basically just adopted this sort of attitude that I have no other existence in this particular planet other than grabbing loot and moving to the extraction point. Like, if I purely play the objective, and I'll not quite ignore killing other people, but make that completely secondary, I wanted to see what my score would be like, and I was very, very surprised, because in a nutshell, guys, you get a ton of points if you just play the objective. Because I got 250 for setting the charges, you get 250 for picking up the loot once the charges have detonated, and you get 1,000 points if you bring it to the extraction point. So that's already 1,500 points that I am, like, that's so easy to bag such a high score if you're just playing the objective. That is definitely one feature that I like quite a bit. Now, at the same time, you're going to notice that with all these vehicles, I'm not super... Oh my gosh. The RPG is so deadly against so many of the vehicles, it's not even funny. But you will notice that a little thing about the RPGs is that they don't quite fly straight like they regularly do. There's like a bit of an arc as soon as you fire it, and I still crushed this guy, so I said it was worth, but I'm not quite sure if it was worth. He hit me twice, that's totally fair and square, and he hit me with a no-scope directly in the face, so he totally deserves that kill, but yeah, I thought I could totally run him over, get off scot-free. It didn't really work out. But you will notice throughout this entire gameplay that yes, there are a lot of instances where essentially I just crash into anything and everything with the vehicles. Because it's not like they're clunky, but you do run into a lot of different objects just in the in the regular playing of the game. And here again, I pick up the loot, and look, I got another 250 points for that. Now, I mean, I guess this isn't always the most fun way to play the game, but this is essentially just my experiment that I did for you guys. Is if I purely just play the objective, if I just focus purely on just getting this cash out of this particular location and bringing it to that location, just purely objective play, I wanted to see how my score would turn out, and I was very, very rewarded. And you're gonna notice, I mean, once you guys get in and play this game eventually, which I'm sure is gonna happen over the next few months, I'm not exactly sure when, but you basically get run over by everything. And by everything, I mean, oh my god, a squeesh. Yeah, everybody gets hit by everything, because you're gonna notice that essentially, when you're comparing it to Battlefield 4, it's not so much every single car is so deadly, because in Battlefield 4, I still feel as if I can avoid a lot of road kills if I can jump correctly or just maneuver my body or my character in any way, shape, or form that is even moderately proficient. But in this game, you get run over by absolutely everything, because everything is so fast and everything is so maneuverable. And I know that's kind of a convenient time for me to say maneuverable, because obviously I'm crashing into everything and anything. It's not exactly the most supportive gameplay of what I'm trying to talk about. But I'd like to say that Heist in general does still feel very much like Rush. I mean, I can't say that it's super complex, and yet again, crashing into everything, man, everything. And there's a little bit of disappointment that I face up here, is that the whole, you guys know what I'm talking about when I say the disappearing RPG. Do you guys know what I'm talking about when I say that? Is that if you die, but you fired an RPG before you died, it's just spontaneously disappears. That's a little bit frustrating. And another thing you're going to notice, especially with this Uzi and a lot of the other weapons, there's very little recoil on a lot of these weapons, but oh my god. Yeah, see, I thought I would have hit him with that RPG, but yet again, it's another thing that I noticed throughout testing this game in San Francisco, is that, yeah, the disappearing RPG is still very, very real. The struggle with the disappearing RPG is still very real. And like I was going to say with the weapons, just in general, I'll get to this in a future video, but essentially, the weapons have much, much less recoil and are much, much easier to handle, but at the same time, they do significantly less damage. And there I was just being foolish and I ran into a laser trip mine. It's really just the equivalent of a claymore in Battlefield 4. It's not all that different, except for the fact that, for example, everybody and their mother was running them by the end of the event, at least from what I saw. And this is about the end of Heist. I don't know if this is going to be a typical game length of about, you know, I guess it was about 9 minutes total, maybe 8 minutes. Well, actually, almost less. Yeah, it's like less than 8 minutes, so about 7.5 minutes. I don't think it's going to be a typical length of a Heist game, just because our team kind of trashed them, especially because we focus so much on the gameplay. But at the same time, like I said, I think this game mode is horribly imbalanced in the favor of the criminals because of how close they spawn to the initial armored trucks and how easy it is for them to defend it, especially with the resources that they're given. I just think it's a little silly, especially the first base, if you will, if you want to compare it to Rush. But you see right there, that's exactly what you get. You crush everybody else. I mean, not like my team didn't support me, but you can see exactly what gameplay or what sort of objective play can get you in this sort of game. Because obviously, I only got 7 kills, but I still got first place because I ran Mad Cash Dash over and over and over again. But I'll see you guys very soon for another updated video on some. I guess I'll upload Blood Money next if you guys want to see that. But I've got some other videos already up if you guys want to see those as well. So I will see you guys next time. Auf Wiedersehen und bis bald und later.